If your child struggles with constipation, like stomach aches, painful bowel movements, or seems to be constantly withholding their poop, you have probably been told the same things over and over. More fiber, more water, maybe a laxative. But what if the constipation isn't actually the root problem? What if it's a clue to what's actually going on with your kiddo? If your kiddo is struggling with constipation, you are definitely not alone. This is literally one of the most common reasons parents are seeking help today. And most of my families have already tried like increasing fiber, giving more fluid, using a probiotic even, or sometimes even medications, and their kid is still struggling. I'm Dr. Ellie McGregor, a board-certified pediatrician in integrative and holistic medicine. In this video, I'm going to explain to you what constipation literally really is, some of the most common causes that I see in practice, and why constipation is often connected to things that parents don't immediately associate with digestion, including sleep, anxiety, emotional regulation, which is huge, and overall nervous system health. So first of all, what counts as constipation? So most parents, I will say in my practice and probably everywhere I've worked, most parents are thinking, if their kid is pooping every day, it's not constipation. I'm so sorry, that is not true. Okay, a child can literally poop every day and still be constipated. And a lot of times it's for that reason, like parents don't always recognize that their kid has constipation. But things that can be constipation can be the following. Okay, so first of all, if your kiddo's having little pebble poops, you know, like it's not like a full soft brown banana, it's like little pebbles, that's constipation. If your kiddo, if it hurts to poop, that often can be constipation, can be other things too. If their poop is huge, like all of a sudden like this big ball comes out, that is constipation. Another big problem I see, especially in kids that are struggling around potty training age, or sometimes even into early elementary, is they withhold their poop. And so, you know, now they can't go to the bathroom because it's like a vicious cycle. So oftentimes they'll have had a painful poop. They don't want to go. So now, because it caused pain, so now they're withholding their poop. And oftentimes kids will have leakage around that poop. And so we can get into that, but that's a bit complicated with the physiology. So you can get leakage around the poop that almost looks like diarrhea, and that's actually constipation. Another sign can be like skid marks on the underwear, okay? Belly pain, super, super common. Kids are just complaining that their stomach hurts all the time. And older kids sometimes will say that they couldn't get it all out, or they feel like their bowel movement was incomplete, okay? So one of the biggest things that I see that's maybe like a bit of a mistake is I see parents waiting until a child hasn't pooped for several days before realizing it's constipation, when actually there's all these other kind of signs of constipation that can happen, especially those like small amounts of poop that are coming out every day, but it's not like a full soft brown banana, as I like to say, you know, in older kids. Obviously, I'm not talking about babies here. Definitely look for those. Okay. In a minute, I'll explain the surprising reason why some children become constipated even when they're eating healthy foods and drinking plenty of water. But first, I want to jump into kind of the causes that most parents know. So most parents know, like if your kid is not drinking a lot of fluid, they're going to get constipated. And that's just because we need that water to draw into the poop so that it comes out nice and soft, all right? I think most of y'all know low fiber also can cause constipation. So if you're not eating those fruits and veggies, that can cause a lot of problems because the fiber actually is the thing that draws the water in and helps us have those soft poops, which, by the way, if you're doing fiber but you're not doing fluid, it's a bit of an issue. Processed foods, this is huge. I know you guys know this, but it's so easy, especially in summer months or just in busy seasons. Grabbing things quickly off the shelf that are processed foods, they just don't have the same amount of nutrients as other foods, and it can cause a lot of problems. Lack of movement. So this is huge, especially today where so many kids are on devices all the time, whether it be for school, for homework, just for entertainment purposes, teenagers who are on video games a lot, or even young children. That is a huge problem. If you're not moving your body, you're not moving your bowels. So we really need kids to have some kind of movement. And then holding stool that we talked about earlier. So kids that have gotten into this cycle of like, they don't want to go because something hurts, they'll hold their poop, and then that causes a big problem. And so these factors definitely matter, but here's where things get interesting, you guys. Here's the cause that most parents actually do miss. I always tell people in functional medicine, everything is connected to everything else, and it could not be more true. Okay, so your digestive system, it does not work independently. It's not like your digestive system is not part of the rest of your body. Okay, so I always tell people we have this like really complicated structure right here is called the neck. And everything in our body is connected, right? So brain, body, brain, body. We're not separating those things out anymore like we did, 50 or 75 years ago, whenever that was. Okay, everything's connected. And so your digestive system is communicating with your nervous system, right? Because there's all these nerves that run up and down that connect your digestive system to your brain. All right. So when children are feeling safe and calm and regulated, digestion tends to work better, more efficiently. So when kids are not overwhelmed, when they're not stressed out or anxious or overtired, or constantly rushing, they can actually go to the bathroom. But when the opposite is true, the digestion really slows down. So examples of this commonly for kids would be like a school transition. So let's say you've moved schools, if you started schools or something different's happening at school with their schedule or with, the amount of work they're doing or what have you. Travel, massive. Okay. I think as adults, even most of us can attest to the fact that when you travel, it's hard for your body to get into a nice rhythm so you can use the bathroom, and so often people will struggle with constipation when they travel, and that's because their nervous system is dysregulated. Family stress. This day and age, you guys, this is so common. I don't want you to feel like anything's wrong with you because you're having family stress. Most of us are having family stress, but it can definitely impact how kids are using the bathroom. And certainly if there's a huge family stress going on, like issues with a divorce or heaven forbid a death in the family, or heaven forbid just really difficult money situations that the child is kind of picking up on, that certainly can cause constipation. Another thing can be anxiety. So I typically will see this with kids when they don't use the bathroom at school. So they're too anxious, to use the bathroom. They're embarrassed. And so then they hold their poop and then they don't want to, then they're not able to go later because now the poops become hard and it's hard to get out of their body. And then it kind of goes in a circle. So this is why some children develop constipation during these kind of life changes. So here's something I want you guys to understand. This is why the symptoms travel often together. Children don't just come in with just constipation most of the time, okay? Typically, children are coming to me because they have a variety of things. They've got anxiety, they've got trouble sleeping, they may have picky eating, their belly may hurt, they may have gas or bloating, they're having emotional outbursts. And parents think they're managing like 5 or 6 different problems, but actually what you're seeing is different signals from the same system. And this is my signature framework, the nervous gut system framework, okay? What can you guys do? Lots of things, and you can certainly chat with me more about it inside the practice. But here's a few things. 1, bathroom routine. Now, I know everyone's mornings are busy. So if morning is not the time, let's do it at dinner time. But I will tell you, morning's usually better if you can make it happen. So I highly recommend carving out an extra half an hour, either in the morning or night, right after breakfast or dinner, for your child to use the bathroom. We really want that to be a time where they're calm and comfortable and they're not feeling rushed. So not the best time would be if you have 5 minutes to get to school and you're rushing out the door and they're not able to relax their nervous system. Because as you know, it's very difficult to go to the bathroom if you don't have a relaxed mind and body, okay? Now, there is something called the gastrocolic reflex that typically happens like 15 to 20, 30 minutes after eating. That's why I really like the timing around breakfast and dinner. It also takes out that part where kiddos are embarrassed to go to the bathroom at school. So like lunchtime can be tricky for kids, right? And so I would encourage your child to have a routine where they sit and relax. They don't have to go. So we don't want to create a situation where there's pressure to go to the bathroom, okay? It's just we're going to try, all right? The second thing is hydration. You guys know this, and I will say that from my experience, this is something that gets missed a lot. There's a lot of good ways to help your child drink more. I really like the idea of crushed up fruits and veggies inside the water if they're not big water drinkers, just to kind of entice them a little bit. But obviously just water alone would be great too. We want to really avoid things that are dehydrating, such as like soda pops and things with caffeine, that sort of thing, energy drinks. That would be really not a good step forward, okay? Because you're going to actually become dehydrated from those things. Daily movement, this in kids looks like playing outside, the trampoline, bicycle, scooters, obviously with helmets, you guys, all of that. And in older kids, often something a little more formal like their organized sports, or even some kids are running and that kind of thing on a daily basis or doing weights, okay? Sleep. All right. Consistent sleep is good for literally every system in your body. It is particularly good for our nervous system. If we are not sleeping well, and let me tell you, I've experienced from this on my own. If you are not sleeping well, I guarantee you are most likely going to be irritable, unable to relax, probably going to get food cravings that are unhealthy. It really throws off your day. And the amount of stress on your body from not sleeping, it's actually going to create a system where your body goes into fight flight. Okay. So now you're running on adrenaline. And what does that do? When you're running on adrenaline, you're in fight flight, you're not in rest and relax. And when your body's not in rest or in relax, you can't poop. So, and why is that? Because if you're like, fighting off that bear or whatever from back in the day, obviously you don't want to be using the bathroom at that time. Again, reducing pressure and shame. So we definitely want to just make sure that no child feels pressured to go to the bathroom and no one feels ashamed if they have an accident or if they have leakage around a constipational block. Okay, so that is very important because when we start to have shame around using the bathroom, it creates a lot of psychological issues as well. We want to make sure that we're giving kids a lot of supports for regulation. So different things like this could be helping children identify their feelings. I love these charts that have pictures of all of the children's emotions so you can help your child know what emotion they're having, first of all. This is a skill. Most of us are not born with the ability to know what emotion we're having other than maybe a few different emotions. And even then it's difficult to identify. And then we need to give kiddos a way to deal with the emotions. Okay. So there's lots of things out there, but blowing bubbles is really great. I love blowing bubbles in milk, blowing non-toxic bubbles. I love outdoor nature play. I love progressive muscle relaxation, meditation. Yes, kids can do it. I promise. And different things around yoga and all of that. So having ways for your child to emotionally regulate is really helpful. And older kids, sometimes they're listening to music or coloring, doing journaling. All of those support emotional regulation. So if your child is struggling with constipation, I don't want you to assume that you simply have not found the right supplement yet, okay? Sometimes the missing piece is understanding how digestion connects to the bigger picture. And so I've created the Tiny Tummies Guide that helps parents walk through some of the foundational principles I use when thinking about gut health. And you can download it below.